For this presentation, I'm talking about AI facial recognition in public surveillance. Facial recognition is when cameras and computer systems can look at someone's face and exactly determine who they are. This can happen in places like airports, streets, malls, concerts, or even public areas. The main question I want to talk about is if governments should be allowed to use facial recognition to scan people in public. I think this is an important ethical issue because the technology can be helpful in some situations, but it can also become too invasive if it's not used right. In this presentation, I will explain what facial recognition is, where it is used, why some people support it, and why some others are against it. Facial recognition is a computer system that can identify or verify someone using a picture, video, or a live camera. The system looks at things like the shape of your face, your nose, jawline, and other facial features. Then it creates a digital version of your face and compares it to faces saved in a database. For example, someone could walk through an airport and a camera could compare their face to their passport photo or a government watch list. The reason this is an ethical issue is because computers make it possible to scan a lot of people at once. A person cannot sit there and recognize thousands of faces walking by, but an AI system can do it way much faster. The main ethical factor is the government or police department that's using the technology. Another important actor is the person who creates or manages the software. The action being tested is the government using facial recognition cameras to scan people in public areas. Where is it being used today? Facial recognition is already being used in a lot of places. China, for example, is a big example because it has many public cameras connected to its government surveillance systems. Facial recognition can be used there to identify people in public areas, even if it isn't for crime. It is also used in airports. Some airports use facial recognition to compare your face to your passport and boarding information. This can make identity checks faster. Police departments in these places like the United Kingdom have also used facial recognition in public areas. They scan crowds and compare faces to people on watch lists, just for safety. Private companies use it as well. For example, facial recognition can unlock phones, let employees into buildings, or be used in stores and security systems. So this is not just something that could happen in the future, it's already being used today, which is why people need to think about whether it is being used in the right way. Why do people support it? There are some good reasons why people support facial recognition. One reason is that it can help police find suspects faster. If there is video footage from a crime, facial recognition could help suspects be found quicker by comparing their face to a database. It can also help find missing people or identify victims. For example, if someone is missing and there is a camera image of them somewhere, the system could possibly help locate them faster. It can also improve security in airports, train stations, concerts, and just overall big events where there are a lot of people. Supporters believe that it can help keep the public safer and make law enforcement more efficient and easier. Instead of officers having to look through hours of video footage, the system can narrow things down. But even though it can be helpful, it still needs to be accurate and controlled. Otherwise, it can lead to more problems than it solves. Now, why do people oppose it? The biggest reason people oppose facial recognition is for privacy. A person could be walking in the street and not even know that their face is being scanned or saved. Even if they did nothing wrong, they can still be tracked. Another issue is false matches. The system can mistake and identify the wrong person. That could lead to an innocent person being stopped by police, questioned, and even treated like a suspect when they really aren't. There is also issue of bias. Some facial recognition systems may not work equally well for everyone. If the system has more errors with certain groups of people, then those people could be affected more unfairly. People who are also worried about governments using this technology for too much control. In some countries, facial recognition can be used to monitor citizens, track protests, or make people feel afraid to speak freely. So the problem is not just technology itself, it's how it's being used. The problem is how far it can go if nobody puts limits on it. For my ethical standard, I'm using the ACM Code of Ethics. I chose this because facial recognition is a computing issue. It involves AI, software, databases, privacy, security, and how technology affects people. The first principle is 1.1, which says computing professionals should contribute to society and human well-being. This can support facial recognition when it is being used for something positive, like finding a missing person or helping stop a serious crime. The second principle is 1.2, which says computing professionals should avoid harm. This matters because facial recognition can cause harm if people are watched without knowing, and if their data is stored for too long, or even if the system makes a false match. The third principle I have is 1.4, which says computing professionals should be fair and not discriminate. This is important because the system should work fairly for everyone and should not be less accurate for certain groups. Now for my ethical analysis, I will apply these ethical standards to the use of facial recognition in public areas. Under Principle 1.1, facial recognition can be ethical when it helps protect people. For example, it can help find a missing child, identify someone in a serious crime, or even improve security at an airport. But under Principle 1.2, the system should not cause unnecessary harm. Scanning every single person in the public and storing their face forever would honestly just be too much. People should feel like they are not being tracked everywhere they go. It really takes away from people's privacy. There is also the problem of false matches. If the computer says someone is a suspect, that should not automatically mean police should take action. A real person should review the result first and make sure it's correct. Under Principle 1.4, the system should be tested and make sure it is fair. If it works worse for certain groups, then it should lead to an unfair treatment and discrimination. So overall, financial recognition can be useful, but it also should not be used without clear rules. It should only be used when there is a real reason and when there are protections for people's privacy and rights. To conclude, my final opinion is that facial recognition is not always unethical or always ethical. It just depends on how it is being used. I think the government should be able to use it in serious situations like finding people, dealing with major crimes, or involving airport security, but I do not think it should be used to scan and track everyone all the time. There should be strict rules. People should know when facial recognition is being used, and there should be human review before someone is stopped and or accused. The system should be tested for mistakes and bias. Also, faces that do not match anything should be deleted quickly. Without those protections, facial recognition can become more like mass surveillance than public safety. Technology should be used to protect people, not to make everyone feel like they're constantly being watched. Thank you for watching my presentation.